This book right here has changed my life. I'm almost 30 and I got not this exact copy, but I got this book handed to me when I was about 16 years old. And this book is called Think and Grow Rich. And I'm sure a lot of you who don't know the book go, you can't think and grow rich. And look, I thought the same. When I got this book handed to me when I was 16 years old, I was like, dude, there's no way you could think and grow rich. I'm a brown skinned person, so a lot of people who look like me thought being rich was for white people. Being rich was for people who come from money. Being rich is for those who get a degree and become a doctor, those who get a degree and become a lawyer. I grew up in the projects in San Diego. So when I thought of rich, that's what I thought of. And so when I got this book, it really changed the game because I was handed this book from somebody who looked like me, who ran a successful business. And he said, I got this book when I was in the military at war in Iraq. And someone said, hey, if you ever make it out of here, read this book and it's going to change your life. And he paid it forward and handed me the book when I was 16 years old. And I could tell you the way it has transformed my thinking, what is possible, what I'm able to achieve, how I should think, how I should operate, and the journey that unlocked because of this book. Now, I'm going to tell you, this isn't some magician book. This is not witchcraft. This is not the Bible. This is a self help book with principles that you probably haven't heard yet that will make the biggest difference in your life as a person, as an entrepreneur, and as a leader. Because most people's minds are limited based off the conditioning they've had since they were a kid. And I'm going to dive into this book more in my next video, but I felt inspired to do this video on the basics of Think and Grow Rich. So the basics of this book, number one, is whatever your mind could believe and conceive may achieve. Now, the author's name is Napoleon Hill, and he's famous for saying that in multiple counts outside this book. And I would actually encourage you guys, if you're watching this, to YouTube the secret recordings of Napoleon Hill or the secret recordings of Think and Grow Rich. In fact, I think I could hyperlink it right under this. Because if you believe you could do something, more than likely you'll do it. If you believe you can't do something, more than likely you can't do it. And so success isn't some astronomical event that happens because all these amazing things happen. I think success, to whatever degree you believe success is, starts with your mind. Could you do this? Whatever ideas you have, could you pursue it and accomplish it? And if you really do believe it in your heart of hearts, the chances of you actually achieving it are way higher than the opposite. And so when I started to be open to this way of thinking, I was able to challenge myself to think a little bit bigger, to believe more, to say, okay, as a 16-year-old kid, could I build a business? No college, no education, no mentors, no money. Can I do this? And after going through half of this book, I had a whole different mind shift. I said, okay, I could do this. I'm going to believe that I'm going to take action every day. I'm going to believe that this vision I have will become my reality. And I'm going to believe that I'm going to do whatever it takes with good intentions to accomplish the goals that I'm going to set for myself. And on top of that, I'm going to set big goals. I'm not going to think small. I'm going to believe big. And there's also a lot of principles in here that was revealed to me, like the mastermind principle. That was a game changer, because when I was 16 years old, I'm like, okay, if I'm going to build a business and I'm going to become successful, where am I going to get the capital or the connections? And mind you, when I was 15 years old, 15, 16 years old, I had a very small clothing brand. It wasn't a business yet because it was a passion project. I was barely starting out. I didn't have many sales. I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't even have a website. But at that time, when I read this book, I believed it could turn into something. And when I was revealed the mastermind principle, and Napoleon Hill talks about how you could leverage and borrow the knowledge, the wisdom, the resources, the connections of other people if you're in harmony. That's the key, when you're in harmony with them. And that was a game changer because I said, okay, who do I know that's to a degree in my space? And I'm like, okay, there's DJs, there's these rappers locally, there's screen printers. And so I started to kind of create my own mastermind. Like, hey guys, you want to meet for coffee on a Saturday? I would invite screen printers, local DJs, rappers, hookah lounge owners, clothing store owners. I would walk in and meet and shake their hand and go, hey, I'm putting a group together with different entrepreneurs in the fashion and music space. You want to come have coffee with us on a Saturday? And I'm doing this at 16 years old. And by doing this mastermind, I didn't say a mastermind because no one really knew what that was. That's kind of like it kind of felt like a woo-woo word that I was like, okay. I said it once to somebody, and he's like, hey, you're trying to rob a bank? I'm like, no, not that type of mastermind. And so I was like, hey, I'm just putting a group together. But using the principles that are taught in this book, I was able to bring people together in harmony and have real conversations on how we all could support each other. And it really turned up the heat in business. And what I was able to accomplish in 6 months of doing that, I would have never believed it could be possible in that short amount of time. So when you're around other people and you're able to borrow their knowledge, their resources, their capital, their connections, it accelerates the time it takes for you to accomplish your goals by 10x. And so by thinking differently and by practicing the mastermind principle amongst different peers and different people in my industry, I was able to take quantum leaps. And quantum leaps is when you go from level 1 to level 10 in 6 months versus level 1 to level 2 in 3 years, which most entrepreneurs who don't practice this principle, they spend decades trying to go after the things that they're building because they're solo. I think Zig Ziglar says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. And that principle alone is the engine. I'm telling you, the engine to the vehicle you are building. You can't do this alone. You may not trust people, because I get it. When you're in business, you might get burned by people. People may not understand you. People may not believe in your vision. But it doesn't mean there's not a group of people you can mastermind with. It doesn't mean there aren't people successful doing the thing you want to do who won't be willing to pour into you. You are not alone. You are not the first person to do the thing you want to do, and you're not the last. So when you just take yourself out of that thinking space, you can go, okay, I need to be around people. And trust me, I'm an introvert. Me to be around other people, I feel weird. I feel, I don't want to be around people. But I started to exercise and massage those nerves. And now it's an obsession. I have to be around people. I can't do things alone because I see the difference between doing something by yourself and then doing it in harmony amongst multiple people. One mind is great, but two minds create a third mind. Right? Two minds create a third mind. And that's what Napoleon Hill talks about as the mastermind principle in this book. So I want to encourage you guys, if you've never heard about Think and Grow Rich, I know I haven't really shared much other than those two things I've learned from it, which are the two things that made the biggest difference in my life the last 15 years. I want to encourage you to read the book. There's an Audible. There's so many more versions of this book out today that wasn't out 15 years ago. 20 years ago. There's so many different editions and extensions, and there's a lot. So you guys are blessed to have the accessibility to the author and the organization that has expanded this book. So if you're an entrepreneur, you want to go after dreams, you want to make a ton of wealth, you're building a business, you're going after a crazy career, you want to speed things up, you want to make sure you do it right, you want to be as successful as humanly possible, read Think and Grow Rich. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. I read this at least once a year. So, and I've been doing this for the last decade. So shout out to Napoleon Hill. Shout out to the Think and Grow Rich Foundation. They are not sponsoring this video. I'm just a big fan of the context, the ideas, the knowledge, the wisdom that this book invites you to receive. Anyways, God bless you guys. Peace. If you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel yet, hit that subscribe button. More videos like this coming soon. Peace.